This is Kim Jong-un. He closed the borders, eliminated any opposition, and suppressed any information about the Western world. He holds unlimited power and nuclear protection. Today, North Korea is a territory of absolute secrecy. It's practically impossible to escape from there. So, why does a country that is unable to feed its population develop nuclear weapons? Why hasn't North Korea collapsed like the Soviet Union? And most importantly, why does Kim Jong-un manage to hold on to power to the point that 25 million North Koreans barely remember anyone else but the Kim dynasty? North Korea, or the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, is 75 years old, 6 years older than the Soviet Union. In the same period, many leaders took over power in the USSR, while in North Korea, only 3 have ruled: Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and now Kim Jong-un. If you can probably guess, they are related: grandfather, father, and son. So it's clear that North Korea isn't about communism, democracy, or even party power. It's a personal regime of one specific family, and somehow they've kept a multi-million strong population under control for 75 years. How do they manage to do that? In 1952, American airplanes ruthlessly bombed North Korea's capital. Imagine 900 tons of devastation across 20 square miles. During 3 years of the Korean War, Americans dropped 200,000 bombs, almost one for every person. But did you know that North Korea started this fight by invading the South? On June 25, 1950, North Korea took 90% of the South, except for a small piece near Busan. Thanks to the United Nations and the United States' support, the South fought back, taking over the North and obliterating everything. In 1953, the war ended with the drawing of the actual borders. 2 countries were formed: North Korea and South Korea. The US backed the South while China and the Soviet Union helped the North. Until 1994, Kim Il-sung, the grandfather, ruled North Korea for almost 5 decades. And he didn't transform into a great leader. At some point, the Korean propaganda elevates him to the son of the nation and practically makes him the god of North Korea. But what did he do to deserve this? Imagine a country that was badly damaged by American bombings during a war. In this difficult situation that he created, Kim Il-sung managed to turn things around. He rebuilt his capital, received help from friendly communist countries, and developed the country faster than its southern neighbor. During the war, many people died in North Korea, leaving behind a lot of orphan children.
Kids are the ones who always suffer most. They never know what's going on or why. And how can you explain to them after they've just seen their whole family get killed?
Kim Il-sung made sure these children were taken care of. He built homes and schools, provided them with food and education, and became like a real father. This was a smart move because these children remained loyal to him and grew up to become leaders in the military and security services. Now take a look at these propaganda paintings, mosaics, and statues of Kim Il-sung. He isn't just a father, but also a loving mother. See how he gently treats wounded soldiers, children, and the elderly? This is not by chance. These values underpin any religion, cult, or sect. They aim to replace the family. But why does the state try to replace the family? Well, because the family also means security. And here's where the desire for power comes in. Remember those brutal American bombings? Well, it could have been worse. Hundreds of thousands of bombs are nothing compared to their nuclear warheads.
The commercial museum was also within 2/10 of a mile of 0 point,
which were used at the end of World War II on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. By the way, these very American nuclear threats stopped the Korean War. As recent history shows, you can't always rely on your allies, so Kim Il-sung sent his scientists to the Nuclear Research Institute of the Soviet Union to gain knowledge and preparation. After returning, they created their nuclear ammunition. The share of the national budget allocated to the military-industrial complex in North Korea has grown significantly. In 1956, it was a mere 4.5%, but in 1966, it had surged to 30%. But suddenly, the USSR collapsed. Kim Il-sung passed away, and a terrible famine struck in the 90s. Even in these tough circumstances, the Kim dynasty managed to stay in power. Most Koreans looked like this. There was no more support from the collapsed USSR or China. In the end, their enemies, the US and South Korea, became their main aid donors. The North Korean government had to loosen its grip and allow some private trade. Improvised markets started to flourish, and smuggling started spreading. Private business started to grow, but it grew too fast, which posed a danger to the regime. If things spun out of control, the regime might have collapsed. To prevent this, Kim Jong-il, the successor, made a smart move to solidify his authority. he focused on the military and declared the Jong-Un policy, putting the army first. There are two reasons for this. Firstly, North Korea had around 1 million soldiers. If they chose to rise against the regime, it would pose a significant threat, given that they always had all the weapons at their disposal. The second reason is that Kim Jong-il had no real military experience. Before becoming the national leader, he had been involved in propaganda, not warfare. To gain the respect of the military, he needed to boost their influence, allocate a higher budget for defense, and prioritize the armed forces in cash or privileges. Today, it's clear that Kim Jong-un has no intention of launching nuclear weapons. It would be suicide, as a U.S. response would undoubtedly be swift and certain. However, having a stockpile of nuclear warheads which could potentially reach Washington serves as a warranty. It prohibits Washington from interfering in North Korea's affairs. There's a universal theory that suggests any regime will keep working if it has three strong pillars of support. Firstly, it must be popular among the common people. North Korea uses propaganda to tell grand tales about its great leaders and portrays North Korea as surrounded by enemies. This helps maintain the regime's popularity. Secondly, the regime must ensure the fulfillment of senior military officials. They should live well and be rewarded for their loyalty. This includes significant military expenses, the development of nuclear weapons, and other military privileges. Thirdly, the regime must align with big business. You might ask, what business could there possibly be in North Korea? Well, here's the catch. When Kim Jong-il had to loosen the control, a new class of individuals emerged. Today, they're referred to as the Jong-il, which translates to money masters. These are the highest-ranking officials, top military officers, those who manage state-owned companies in North Korea, those who conduct business abroad, and the officers of the security forces. Roughly 1% of North Korea's population now lives quite well. They drive regular cars within the country, vacation to proper resorts, and even wear Western clothing. This class of people is critical to the Kim regime because they provide substantial funds and contribute to its survival. The ruler doesn't care much about the rest of the population. In North Korea, a private-public partnership was developed where the government takes care of production, logistics, and sales while sharing the profits with these donju. This arrangement eases the government's burden and collects a significant portion of their earnings. People often mock Air Koryo, North Korea's national airline, which operates old Soviet planes and is considered one of the world's worst airlines. However, they control taxi services, gas stations, and tourism agencies within the country. They produce cigarettes and canned goods under their brand. This partnership allows the government to take a portion of the earnings without directly involving themselves in production, logistics, and sales complications. This private-public partnership model contributes significantly to the survival of the regime. Kim Jong-un and his predecessors know how to stay in power. Their ideology established nuclear deterrence, and a circle of people interested in their presence have protected them. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, down in the comments, write which country you think we should make a video on next.